Stephen A. Smith can't go a day without messing up. And of course, he is talking about the Democrats again and even boasting himself saying like, oh, this is why people want me to run because the Democrats can't get it together. Now, Democrats, yeah, they can't get it together, right? But we definitely don't want you to run. Let's go ahead and get into this, you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. So for those of you who don't know, there's been a few polls online where Kamala Harris is in the lead as far as a potential presidential candidate for 2028. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, these are fake. Oh, don't worry about them. But no, you should actually pay attention because a lot of the early polling can tell who's going to be eventually the nominee. Now, Kamala Harris hasn't announced anything, but more than likely she's going to run, as well as Gavin Newsom, Shapiro, Buttigieg, and Stephen A. Smith talks about each one of them. And he's given like a stark warning to Democrats all like, is this the best you got? Ugh. Let's get into it.
Why we're seeing some of the things that we're seeing in the polls. Because according to an article in the Wall Street Journal today, every Democrat preparing to run has weaknesses. As of this writing, according to the Wall Street Journal today, only 2 potential candidates have double-digit support in the Real Clear Politics polling average. Both are vulnerable. Former Vice President Kamala Harris leads with 31%, followed by California Governor Gavin Newsom at 22%. My response to that, are you freaking kidding me? I voted for Kamala Harris. We all know she wasn't the ideal candidate. It is true that she got nearly 75 million votes, and she only had 107 days to campaign before the election because of when Biden elected to step down. But here's what we also know. We also know that there were a lot of Democrats that were very reluctant to support her. We also know that a couple of those people were the Obamas. We also know that she wrote a book where she didn't speak too glowingly about Biden or Governor Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania or even Gavin Newsom, the governor of her state, which is California. We also know that she couldn't even make it to the Iowa caucuses when she ran in 2020. And that the only reason why she was the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States, at least in the argument of some, was the fact that she didn't have to go through a primary. So to have all of that working in your favor to the point where you get the Democratic nomination and then you lose the election and then in the aftermath you elect not to run for the gubernatorial seat in California, do you really think that Democrats are going to clamor to support her and assist her in winning the Democratic nomination? We know that they're not.
Now, I want to say this. I thought that to be true too as well. The part about him saying that the Democrats wouldn't support her. And I do think that there's certain people within, the party are not going to support her, right? But in the DNC, she actually sold her the email, like the email list. She sold it to the DNC. Also, Ken, what is his name? Not Ken Paxton. That's the guy running in Texas, but Ken, I think Ken Martin, he's the new DNC chair, and he has been very open to the idea. Like they were at a meeting and he called Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, the first gentleman, that would be his title if Kamala did win the presidency in 2028. But again, it seemed like the DNC is more open to Kamala running again. And I think also, too, we got to say this. We say Kamala lost, and she did. We can't rewrite that history. But we also need to say Joe Biden lost. Joe Biden lost. Because really, she had to step in for him because he wasn't able to make it to November to even run. So, again, if Kamala lost, we gotta put it out there that Joe Biden lost. Not Joe Budden, Joe Biden. I'm sorry. I was just talking about Joe Budden a minute ago. I'm sorry, y'all. Joe Biden.
So the fact that she's at 31% is not an indictment against her. It's an indictment against the party that her name still even exists, because it means nobody else has stepped up and really stood out and made claim to, I should be the nominee. That's why a damn sports broadcaster is all over the damn news as a candidate. As if I don't have better things to do with my time, with the kind of life that I built for myself. But this is the world that we're living in, and this is what's going on.
Listen, Stephen A. Smith, the reason why they be having you on these different news stations is because your loudmouth ass say all the things that they love to hear about ragging on the Democrats, talking about how much they suck. This is why they have you on the show. Let's be honest about it. It's not because you're a political scholar. And you even say that, oh, I don't really know how things really work with politics. You know, he's just talking. That's why they have you on there, because you talk.
Gavin Newsom, 22%. Still waiting for you to come on the show, Mr. Governor. Still waiting. Still waiting, Gavin Newsom. I keep telling you it's going to be far more pleasant than you realize. Because I just want to ask questions and I want to listen to your answers. I don't want a got you moment. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I don't want to go back and forth with you, interrogating you like I'm some prosecutor or whatever. I simply want you to answer for your state about the homelessness that Obama just alluded to, which he labeled an embarrassment, about the crime, about defunding police, about being a sanctuary city and state, about billions in debt. About homelessness.
And this is the character part about him, because he's doing all that hollering, now he's all like, about homelessness. Come on, man. And, you know, I got to be honest, politics is a show. Just like when he does his thing on First Take on ESPN, it's a show. He knows that he's putting on a show for people. He don't have any conviction. This is why he be kissing Trump's ass. But to answer the question about Gavin, I think Gavin Newsom should do a show. I understand why people don't do a show, because, again, Stephen A. Smith doesn't carry any political weight. Stephen A. Smith realized his market is to be the anti-democratic guy. Go after the Democrats. That's how he gets his views, right? Because if you look in his comment section, whenever he goes after Trump or like a Republican, his comment section is all negative. But when he's going after a Democrat, oh, the comment section is like loving him, like, yeah, Stephen A. Smith, you speak the truth. You should run for president. It's Republicans telling him he should run for president, not me and you.
Where's the answer to those questions? Wall Street Journal is writing about those two candidates today, months removed from the midterm. That's what you got? That. Pete Buttigieg, former transportation secretary. Very, very nice man. Polling at 9%. I believe they did a poll on him when Bill Maher talked about this months ago. He had 0% support from the African-American community. Why? Because he doesn't move us. That's why. I don't know why. He doesn't move us.
And also, too, you have to be able to talk to Black people, and he can't. When he was the mayor of South Bend, there was a whole situation that happened with, I believe it was like a police brutality, and he totally gaffed and he didn't know what he was talking about. And you could tell like the people was really pissed off in that area with him. Like he ain't got it. Mm-mm.
So what do you have? Because you see, Trump is going to be on the ballot, even though he's not running, supposedly, unless he circumvents the 22nd Amendment.
Like, how do you represent a Black district, but you can't be, and you're not able to speak to Black people? That's a problem.
The Constitution and runs for a third term, which he ain't going to pull off. He's certainly not running in the midterms. But he's going to be on the ballot in 2026, and he's going to be on the ballot in 2028. Now, you got some folks out there that are looking at J.D. Vance. You got a lot of more folks that are looking at the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor and Marco Rubio, a former senator, and they know he's the real deal because he's an adult in the room. Who the Democrats have? Inquiring minds want to know. When we see polls and we hear this kind of stuff being talked about when it pertains to the Democratic Party, the last thing you need to see in the damn newspapers and all over social media and in a digital stratosphere is a house divided. You still ain't together? After all of this?
See, and now he's doing all that hollering and screaming. That's two different arguments regarding the Democrats needed to be on one accord and two, having a nominee. Now, the way that MAGA is working is that they've already put J.D. Vance as the guy. Even Turning Point is backing them up and everything like that. So they're already putting him on that pedestal. But we can't forget, J.D. Vance was pushed by Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. 1 billionaire and one potential trillionaire. People who got money. So J.D. Vance, his thing is already written in stone. So that's one thing. That's one reason why he's being pushed up as the nominee. But as far as Democrats, no, they don't have to have the nominee right now. You know, Democrats need to be focused on the midterms, not getting who's going to be president. Because if we don't flip the House and the Senate, throw 2028 out the window because there's going to be no hope. No hope at all. We've already had to worry about the SAVE Act with the new voter ID, which it's not a voter ID. That's what they want you to believe it is. No, they want to be able to purge people and stop people from voting. The SAVE Act is it's not saving nobody. And honestly, to tell you the truth, it's going to hurt Republicans as well, too. So they might want to think about that in general. But hey, I'm not here to help them. I'm here to help us. But, you know, with this Stephen A. Smith conversation, you know, oh, this is the best you got. They're always doing polling. This has been a thing. Let me take you back to before 2020. This has always been a thing where they're trying to figure out who the nominee is. And you see right here, it's Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden led basically the whole time, except in 2 polls. Bernie had 2 polls where he was up, but after, 2019, it was kind of written in stone that it was going to be Joe Biden. And let's not forget, Joe Biden was the vice president. He didn't run in 2016. He waited his turn, and then he ran, in 2020. So again, people always discussing who's going to be the next president. And here's the thing. I don't mind if there's a new candidate that comes out of nowhere and, surprises us all, because again, we need to be focused on 2026 and not 2028. But also, let's not count Kamala out. I think everybody's saying Kamala sucks. She's this, she's that, all these negative things about her. Okay, well, if she sucks, then let her run. If she can't win a primary, let her run. Prove that she's not this or she's not that. But honestly, to tell you the truth, what they're really worried about is that they know Kamala can potentially win. Kamala would have the significant amount of Black voters. And you can't win the South without Black voters. That's what they're worried about. This is why they don't want her to run. Because, you can say, okay, well, during the presidential election, we don't really need Black people. So, okay, whatever. But when it comes to the primaries and you the Democratic candidate, or, you're trying to be the nominee for the Democratic Party, you need the Black vote. This is why they always go to Clyburn in South Carolina and somebody tries to get his stamp of approval. Joe Biden got it last time. And this is why Joe Biden had won South Carolina all through the South and so forth. Remember, Bernie Sanders was doing good in the North, like Iowa and New Hampshire, all that stuff. And then when it got to the South, that's when, he blew past Bernie Sanders. So again, they don't want Kamala to run because that black vote, it's hers, you know? But anyway, you guys, let me know what you think. Again, I wanted to show you guys, like, yeah, they always talk about who the nominee is going to be, you know, throughout the years before it gets to the election year. It's not anything uncommon. People are going to be doing articles. There'll probably be an article tomorrow about it, how Kamala is leading in the polls, and between, who is it going to be, Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris? That's going to be the conversation at the end of the day. So just get used to it. And Stephen A. Smith, don't you ever think about running for shit. You better run to the toilet if you got the runs, but running for president, get your ass up out of here with that. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget about our meetup in Vegas, April 10th through the 12th. I can't wait to see you guys there. And don't forget, bring your own money because I ain't got you. I love y'all. Bye.